Okay, so today we're just going to start with a basic introduction to Adobe Illustrator. Now to open Illustrator, just go to Start, All Programs. It should be listed up here along with the rest of the Adobe products. Just click on it once to open it. If this problem ever occurs here, just click on Yes. It's just a simple registry error, but it will work fine once you click on the Yes option. Now once Adobe Illustrator is open for you, no file will automatically open for you. To create a new file, you simply go to File and New. Now this will give you the basic options menu for a new file. So you can name it. So let's say we'll just name it Test Image. The number of artboards will stick with just one. You can have numerous artboards if you want to create numerous separate pieces and then combine them all together in one image if you want. The size you can change. A4 is usually the default. You can change it to any of the basic paper sizes. That's also the size of the A4. If you want to customize the size, you can change it here. Now it's given in millimeters. You can change that to whichever option you prefer, whichever measurement suits you best. The orientation is usually at landscape, but you can change it to portrait here if you want by clicking on the image in more portrait position. The bleed is the option around the edge of the image. So if you wanted, let's just say, a border of 10 millimeters all around it, you can just up these measurements to 10 at the top, bottom, left and right, and that will be a simple 10 millimeter border all around the edge of your image. Now some of the advanced options here. The color mode is RGB. RGB is what you'll usually use if you're keeping it on a computer. If you want your image to stay digital, RGB is the option you should choose. If you're making an image with the sole purpose of printing it out, CMYK would be the better option. But now we're just going to make something digital, so we'll stay with RGB. The resolution, 72 ppi, is usually alright. If you want to make a very high depth resolution image, you can up the resolution to medium or high. We'll stay with screen. That's all we need for a basic image. And the preview mode as well, you can change that if you want, but default is usually the best option. So with that pretty much all set, we can click OK. Now you can also go into other templates there if you want, if you have a template set up or anything. But over here then they just give you the basic options. It's RGB, 72 ppi, and align to pixel grid no. So we'll just OK that and it'll create our basic artboard. So here's our artboard. Inside in this frame we can create whatever we want, and that'll be inside in our image. Now the outside here, this won't appear in our image. So even if we made something and it's stretched outside, we won't see anything outside the image here. So now we'll have a look at the basic text menu. So a file which we just used, we can now save this image if we want. We can open a separate one. We can export it to a specific image type. We can change the document setup, which is the images we just set there once we created this document. We can change the color mode here directly if we want. We can just add some file info such as its creator and other additional options. We can print it, and all those options are there. The edit options are the basic edit options. Undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, all the basic ones will be inside here. Object. This usually appears if you have an object selected. So if I was to, let's just say, create a square. I now have this object selected since I've created it. You'll see it's kind of highlighted in blue. That means it's selected. If I go into Object, all these options now become available for me. So I can go into Transform and Move, Rotate, Scale. I can choose any of them. I can also choose any of these options here if I want. Type. These options come up if you have typed something into your image. You can change the font, see your recent fonts, the size of it, etc. Select here. Now I currently have the square selected. So I can select the inverse, which is everything but the square. I can simply deselect the square. You'll see it's no longer highlighted in blue. So this means now I have nothing selected at the moment. Effect is something you'll kind of rarely be choosing. All these options down here are just to add styles basically to your image. So you can give it a texture style, a sketch style like it's been drawn in pencil, sharpen, pixelate objects. It's rare you'll ever be using a lot of these, especially if you create an image from scratch. Now you might be using one or two of these options up here, the Illustrator effects, but even at that it's rare, and there'll usually be final effects that you'll add to an image. The view, if you just want to zoom in, out, change any of your viewing options, even at that you also have your grid options here to snap things to grid and to make the guides available. So if you want to hide the guides, lock the guides, anything like that, you can do them all here. Your window options, so show you the current windows that you have open. So let's just say we don't have much of any of them open here, just control and tools. So let's say we wanted to open the align window. We click on align, and here's our align window. This allows us just to align objects, so if we wanted them all centered, we can horizontal align center all our objects so that all appear in one row down the center, and you can do that with many windows available. The help option is just Adobe Help. The bridge option allows you to go to Adobe Bridge if you want to bring in a different Adobe file such as Photoshop or any of them. You can bring them all into Adobe Bridge. This just allows you to arrange your documents. Now this up here, it says Essentials. This is the current view of all your tools. So let's say I was most used to Photoshop and I like the layout of the tools in Photoshop. I can click on Like Photoshop, and all the options here down to the side appear in the Photoshop defaults. Now I'll just go back to Essentials, give me more space on my screen. And you'll see then I have more space here to the side again if I want. Now this is your options menu for the tool you have selected. So currently, remember, I just selected the rectangle. So if I wanted to change the stroke size and make the lines thicker on my rectangle, I can up it to, let's say, 6 point. I can change the line from uniform to, let's say, this option here. I can change the pen type, the style, the opacity of it. I can change all them. So now if I create a rectangle, oh no, it just went back to the default, so I'll change this now to 6 point and that style, and that's the basics of that. Now these appear differently depending on the tool that you've selected. So if I choose, let's say, the text option, you see the few additional options here will appear. So if I choose text, you'll see all these options here appear then depending on the tool I have selected. So as well as that, if I chose, let's say, the eraser here, it'll give me the eraser options. If I chose the pen tool, it'll give me all the pen options. Whatever I choose here in the toolbox, the options for that tool appear up at the top here. Now the toolbox will go into greater detail in one of the following tutorials because there's quite a lot to cover in them. We'll just do a quick bit here to the side. So you'll see these options appear here as well. Now these are some of your additional tools. So let's say this one here is one you'll be using quite often. This is the swatches. So if I click on this, it shows me all the colors I currently have available. Now these are all the default colors that you have. They're your simple preset colors. Some of them are web colors, very basic, very simple, but also very useful all the same. I can also just get into my brushes option and symbol options, so I just have simple symbols. But you can open these up. If you ever want to put them back into the menu like they were here, you just click on the little side arrow and they go back into it. So I can open, let's say, the color tool here again, and I can change my color as I want. So I can up the red, up the green, and up the blue to create a new color here for myself. The color guide once again just gives you kind of subtle tones of that color. But now just put it back in my menu. I'll click on that there and it returns. So this is just a very basic introduction, just to get you used to the basic layout of Adobe Illustrator. So just remember, you have the text menu up here at the top with all your text options. Over here you just have the general layout, so you can change it to Essentials or the same as some of the other Adobe products you want. So if you like InDesign or just freehand, you can change to them. You have the text box or the toolbox over here. You can choose all your basic tools that you want to create images and change images within Illustrator. You have the options for the tool selected here. And you just have some basic additional tools over here. Just remember, you can open these at any time just by clicking on them. You can choose your option then, and then just to return it back to the side menu, click on the little arrow there. So that's just a very basic introduction, but it gets you just familiar with the very basic options available in Illustrator.